So unfortunately, it looks like the foot issues are continuing. I was able to hike yesterday, but by the time I got into camp and took my shoes off, I noticed that it had kind of snuck up on me again. So we're basically looking at contingencies at this point. We have to get to Chief Joseph for a resupply. We may end up taking an extra day off there. We may end up trying to swap my shoes just because there's not much else we can try at this point. Our best theory is it's due to that weak midsole on the Olympus, and I'm just getting too many things poking through at the bottom of my foot, which is a weaker point on the arch versus on the pad. But at this point, we're just trying to find something that'll let us continue to get as close to West Yellowstone as we can before Taters has to leave. Nothing like being in my full bug suit first thing in the morning. I'm just glad I didn't have to run off and dig a cat hole and all that. We have 40 miles until Chief Joseph, which is our resupply. We have somebody who's going to be driving us out, so we may have the ability to stop at some stores if we need to. At this point, we're down to the foot issue being either I'm flat-footed and it's some sort of mechanical issue, which doesn't really bear out with stuff in the past, just because I have gone for long sections without it, or this kind of weakness in the midsole of the Olympus. See the lack of tread causing it. We are talking about trying to find maybe a little bit of a burlier shoe and trying that for this next 6-day carry to Leodore, at which point I have my next pair of Olympuses, or I could continue on with whatever potential other pair of shoes. Unfortunately, because my feet are so wide and oddly proportioned, something like a Hoka would not work. Last year, when I was going through the AT, when we got to the whites, my shoes failed completely. And the only thing we were able to find were kind of a mid-weight Keen shoe. And may try and find that, because that's one of the few that's actually worked for any distance without compounding other issues. Last time I tried a Hoka, it was 13 wide, and despite that, I ended up with a line going down the side of my foot because it was far too narrow, and my foot was catching on the side of the insole. So about all we can do is limp through the next couple of days. If I can only do 15 miles today, we do 15 miles. We'll either get out and at the end of tomorrow or sometime the next day, unless things go even more seriously wrong. And at that point, taking an extra day may be on the table, as much as I don't want to. Our pie in the sky plan did have us being a little further originally. That was the one where we were trying to estimate how far we might get, and we're kind of deciding that West Yellowstone would be where Taters would leave, because she's got a little over 2 weeks, and it's about 350 miles to there. So far, when we've been cooking along with all the little stuff, resupply delays, things like that, we've been doing 135, 140 miles. Obviously, that first week in Glacier slowed us down, and we didn't have much choice about that because our campsites were 10 miles apart. And now stuff like this is going to take a toll. Quite frankly, though, I'm just desperate to get back to where every step in the morning is not horribly painful. Because, prior to this, it was actually going fairly smoothly, even with some of the longer days. And I could just zen out, and the days were passing relatively quick. Where every step hurts, the days feel really long and miserable. Okay, unfortunately, our plan for today is probably going to be to do a short day. Get somewhere mid-afternoon, get off my feet, and then hope things improve and there's not a repeat of this. Or we just do 2 15-mile days and a 10 to get into town. So we did finally get decent reception again and check messages and whatnot. We are looking at the possibility of switching to a little bit earlier of a meeting point. Instead of Chief Joseph, we could exit 7 or 8 miles earlier at Gibbons Considering the foot issues, it might pay to jump off, fix them, and then 8 miles is not very long when things are going well. Finally out of the burn area, which is good because it was damn warm there. We're just a mile or two short of the next water source, and we're gonna get there rather thirsty. If you can ignore all the pain of actually, walking, this last section has been pretty.
The camera on it?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it's that time of day looking for a campsite that we don't hate. And after a long, painful, and not very productive day, we are just looking for a campsite so I can get out of these shoes. That'll leave us with only about 15 miles till we get to our Trail Angel meet tomorrow. And yeah, I've been limping the last mile or two, and sure enough, God, this really doesn't feel good.
Tonight we are not camping by a water source, which is a little bit unusual for us. We really don't like to do that early on, like right after a resupply, because our bags are heavy enough as it is without carrying up extra water. But towards the end of a section, it's not too bad. So we did carry up about 6 liters of water to get through the night and the morning with, of course, lots of coffee. And we're on this nice little ridge with a nice little breeze going that's keeping away most but not all of the mosquitoes. And Matt had a really rough day today with his feet, so he's glad to be off his feet, and we are set up for being able to get out to a road tomorrow and let him rest up for a day or two. Home sweet home for the night.